This time on Biblionomads, we go from Barefoot Gen to this.
We're Kyle Avvai, and we love to travel and also read. Exploring bookstores, libraries, and discovering new authors is super fun and gives us a deeper understanding of the places we're visiting. We want to share what we read and encourage you to pick up a book or two on your next adventure. Welcome to Biblionomads.
Okay, Avvai, where are we going?
Hiroshima. I hope to learn more about the atomic bomb.
We were going to Hiroshima, but as per usual, our adventure had started in the bookstore. The book we're focusing on today is a manga that is very famous in Japan called Barefoot Gen by Keiji Nakazawa. Don't be fooled by the comic book panels and the fun art style. This one hits hard. To get to Hiroshima, we took the train using the Seishin 18 cheap tickets, which means it took us 7.5 hours to get there. It was beautiful, but as usual, Avvai fell asleep immediately. But what is Barefoot Gen actually about? The story is about a boy, Gen, and his family. We joined them a few months before the bomb. Times are tough. There are food shortages, constant air raids, and the extreme nationalism has everyone at their neighbors' throats. But throughout it all, Gen remains positive and playful, even as things get worse and worse. Which is a huge draw of this book. Barefoot Gen remains hopeful even as it showcases the brutality of the time, focusing always on how people rebuild in times of tragedy. Until the bomb drops at the end of the first volume. Sorry, spoilers. It gets really intense from there. It's honest, brutal, but somehow still optimistic. Honestly, it's a masterpiece. And there are 9 more volumes to go. The craziest thing? It's based on the real-life experience of the author, Keiji Nakazawa, who survived the atomic bomb when he was the same age as Gen. It's all true. Reading stories like Barefoot Gen on the way to Hiroshima sets a certain expectation. But even so, we were a little surprised to arrive and find out that it was, well, as normal as Japan ever gets. You got your usual cuddle a cat posters, and sushi vending machines, Mario Shrine, of course, beauty theme parks, and whatever this guy is. We even stumbled upon an a cappella concert, and yeah, that's Disney music in Japanese. Their fans were a little bit more into it than ours usually are, though. However, before all of that, our first stop was to drop our stuff off at our couch surfing host, who happened to live in one of the most famous and iconic ramen shops in all of Hiroshima. If you're not familiar with couch surfing, it's a website that hooks people up with free hosts all around the world. If you're not familiar with ramen, well, I can't help you there. This is our host, Shinichi, whose family owns the ramen shop. Besides being an awesome guy, he's also a sake sommelier. And over some sakes, we asked him if he'd ever read Barefoot Gen.
Maybe when I was primary school, maybe 8 years old, 9 years old, I think.
8 years old?
8, 9,
and
9.
they teach it in school?
Textbook on the, just not every part, just only small part.
Oh, so everyone sees some parts of it.
Yeah, some parts. So
and then you can read more if you want to.
Yeah, but now not anymore. I don't know why, but like Japanese government decided to remove the scene of Hadashino Gen, this manga, from the textbook. And this manga is like maybe teach us what is important for making the peace world also. Not only like just terrible story. So we understand the history, how we reconstructed from the atomic bomb.
What was that?
Ice cream?
You think so?
Yeah.
After surviving the earthquake, it actually wasn't very big and it was also far away. We went downtown to see the epicenter where the bomb dropped, which is now a memorial park and museum. This domed building here is right under where the atomic bomb dropped. Well, technically, this is where it dropped, but it's just a few blocks away. The whole area has been converted into a park, the Peace Park. It's full of memorials and statues to all the victims of the bomb. We walked around reading and learning. Barefoot Gen was a hard book to read, but I'm glad I read it before coming here because I had a deeper understanding of this place and what it means. This is a statue to commemorate Sadako and all the other children who were impacted by the bomb. I remember having to read Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes in elementary school. I can't remember what I felt at that time, except having to make a lot of paper cranes and knowing it's a symbol of peace. But here, it was deeply heartbreaking and intense. While walking around, we kept hearing this drum in the background. We went to investigate, and we think this man might have been performing a service or some sort of prayer to those that were lost. You'll see water bottles everywhere. It's an offering to the dead. We learned in Barefoot Gen that water is what the survivors wanted more than anything else, to get relief from the heat and the fires. This is the flame of peace that will continue to burn until there are no more nuclear weapons on Earth. I liked the small symbol of protest. And we also found a quiet library beside the museum. It had all the volumes of Barefoot Gen and some other books about the war and the atomic bomb, so we took some time to read and learn. There was a long line to the museum, but it goes fast, and it was one of the most impactful and intense museums I've ever been to, so the wait was well worth it.
We couldn't actually do a lot of filming inside, but to give you an idea of what it was like, let's take a step back to the real reason why we decided to visit Hiroshima. It actually wasn't Barefoot Gen that we read first. No, first was a book called Hiroshima, City of Doom by Ota Yōko. I'm going to read a small excerpt of the book, and I'm going to pair it with pictures that we got from the museum. These are drawn by survivors, and I'll warn you that they can be a little intense. Number of people on the riverbed increased minute by minute, many of them now with severe burns. At first, we didn't realize that their injuries were burns. There were no fires, so where and how could they have been burnt so badly? Ash-colored skin hung from their flesh, peeling off in strips like the skins of roast potatoes. They held their puffy, swollen arms out, bent at the elbows like crabs holding up their two claws. Gray skin hung down from both arms like rags. And yeah, that's enough. Do you see why we went with a manga?
In the museum, there's this virtual display of Hiroshima and the bomb dropping. And it was intense. You can see the radius of impact and how far it spread and affected the city. This is the first atomic bomb, and it's hard to believe that today we have nuclear weapons that are 650 times more impactful than this. After the museum, we went outside and had to sit down and process everything that we had just seen.
Reading this book made me feel like coming here is an important thing to do.
I wish those images in the comics weren't seared into my memory now.
You know, I think these images should be seared into people's memories. Obviously, nuclear weapons are horrible, but what do people associate in their minds when they think of them? Probably right now we're going to be thinking about the Oppenheimer movie. The real core takeaway should be, this is what it does.
Yeah.
And I've never seen it portrayed in such a powerful way as this. I think this is something that everyone should be aware of.
Yeah. You know, there's things we can do in our daily lives to prevent stuff like this happening. It didn't just happen overnight, right? There's a slow buildup of who you're voting for, nationalism, the politics that you're supporting, the ideas that you're taking in from media or from school, the ideas that you're putting out there. And so learning more about the consequences of war and what these ideas can lead to is important.
It turns out we were sitting right next to these trees, which are known as the Phoenix trees. These were hit directly by the blast, and yet they were able to regrow and keep living, which really is what Hiroshima is all about. It's what Barefoot Gen is all about. And I don't know if we should be reading this when we're kids like Shinichi did, but, you know, maybe we should. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you next time.